Commercial poultry production started immediately after Ghana attained its independence. And the growth rate was very encouraging, about 20% per annum, because it was introduced by the then President Kwame Nkrumah, because he foresaw that in future, looking at the population growth, the domestic chicken cannot give enough of the protein that we need. So the poultry was introduced. And the growth was very good, and it was also giving jobs to the citizenry. Until the 1980s, when Ghana adopted the free trade policy without considering the strategic plan to protect the local the local industry. It allows the importation of frozen chicken into the country. By 1990, the importation took about 70% of the market. And by 2013, it went to 90%. As we speak now, we are not producing 1% of the total imports into the country. If you look at EU data,
1%.
We are not producing 1% of the total imports into the country. Yes. If you look at EU data, you see that for the past years, Ghana has been the leading importer of chicken from EU. And in 2021, about 227,903 metric tons of chicken were imported from EU alone in 2021. The data is there. Now, America and Brazil.
This must be what the president meant when he says that every drop of, is it a bullet or a bomb, affects our pockets, even though it's far away in Ukraine.
Exactly. Because it's alarming. US and Brazil are also contesting at the top that they are the highest exporter of chicken into the country. So, considering this fact, if EU, which is at the third position, brought 227,903 metric tons, and assuming the three countries brought the same figure, it gives you about 683,709 metric tons in 2021 alone. And we are not producing 1% of that figure. So, it means that, and it's so cheap that there's no way the local market can compete with them. Okay, let's go to US. Poultry has impacted US economy from the year, from 2012, it was $265 billion. 2014, it went up to $441 billion. 2016 was $643. And 2018, it was $739 billion. And out of that, you'll see that broiler production, they call it chicken. Chicken took about, I would say broiler. Broiler took about 75% of the total economic impact. Layer was about 6%, and turkey 18%. Now, it means that poultry is all about the broiler production. And this is where the EU and the Western world have taken over all the market by dumping their chicken on us at a very cheap price. My concern is that when you travel to any of the Western world, chicken is not as cheap as it is sold here when they bring it here. So I ask myself, what is the reason for that? That you've bought it, you've shipped it, you've paid duties on it, added your margin, and it's still very cheap, even from the country that you brought it. So it is very disturbing, and it has affected the poultry so much so that it has pushed all the poultry farmers to produce eggs. And now the challenging is seen all over. Poultry farmers in the country, about 80%, are not in operation as we speak now.